What if I told you that the single worst casino you could possibly walk into isn't hidden in some sketchy back alley?
Right.
And it isn't some rundown roadside joint either.
No, far from it.
Exactly. It is actually floating on crystal blue water, serving you unlimited shrimp, playing steel drum music, and strictly following Las Vegas law.
It really is a wild contrast.
It is. So picture this. You step onto a massive, luxurious cruise ship. Like, if you are sitting there listening to this right now, try to put yourself in that space.
Yeah, imagine the environment.
The ocean water is that impossible, vibrant shade of brilliant blue. The sun is shining. There are champagne lights twinkling on the main deck.
People walking around with those drinks and the hollowed out pineapples.
Yes, the pineapple drinks. And everyone is just smiling. It feels like pure, unfiltered paradise.
Yeah.
You have completely escaped the grind of your daily life.
But then you go downstairs.
Right, but if you take the glass elevator down, deep below deck, tucked away from the sun and the salt air, there's a room.
A very specific kind of room.
And this room has been scientifically, mathematically, and psychologically engineered to keep you playing until the moment that heavy iron anchor drops.
Which brings us to today's topic.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We are thrilled you're here with us today because you, the learner sitting there listening right now, are about to get an absolute masterclass in the hidden mechanics of your vacation. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it because, the contrast between the open, carefree nature of a cruise and the highly controlled, precision-engineered space of the ship's casino is, well, it's one of the most fascinating psychological environments we can analyze.
It really is a total clash of worlds.
It is. You are taking a demographic of people who are deliberately in a state of leisure and relaxation.
Well, they're literally on vacation.
Exactly. And you're placing them into an environment designed for high-stakes decision-making and rapid risk assessment.
And that collision of relaxation and risk is exactly what we are tearing apart today. We are looking at an incredible breakdown of the cruise ship casino industry.
It's a great source document we're working from.
It is. And our mission for this deep dive isn't just to, rattle off a list of basic gambling tips. I mean, if you wanted that, you could just read a trifold pamphlet in the ship's lobby.
Right, we want to go much deeper than that.
Way deeper. We are here to unpack the hidden physical design, the secret legal regulations, and the underlying psychological architecture of these floating casinos.
Because the goal is for the listener to be armed with actual knowledge.
Exactly. We want you to be able to step on board your next cruise fully informed, completely immune to the usual traps, and ready to actually enjoy yourself without feeling like you've been taken for a ride.
Because before you even step foot onto that casino floor, you really need to understand the invisible rules governing the space.
Yes. And I want to start with the biggest, most pervasive rumor that honestly every single cruiser has heard at some point while standing in line at the buffet.
Oh, I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Right. The rumor is this. People say cruise casinos have a hidden switch.
The famous switch.
And the moment the ship crosses the maritime border into international waters, the casino manager sits in a dark room, flips that switch, tightens all the payouts, and basically turns the slot machines into high-powered vacuums for your wallet.
It's a brilliant piece of modern folklore. Truly.
It's totally made up.
Completely. But it makes intuitive sense to people because it plays on the fear of being in unregulated territory. The thought process is, we are in the middle of the ocean, there are no police, they can do whatever they want.
Right, maritime law always sounds like the Wild West.
Exactly. But we need to completely dismantle that idea right now. It is a myth.
Okay, myth busted. But why? How do we know for sure?
Well, if we look at the major players in the industry, so we're talking Carnival, Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, Princess, Holland America, they all belong to an organization called CLIA.
The Cruise Lines International Association, right?
Yes, CLIA. And decades ago, CLIA made a highly strategic, completely voluntary decision to legitimize their gaming operations in the eyes of the global public.
So they didn't want to look like pirates running a scam.
Exactly. They decided to strictly follow Nevada's gaming regulations.
Okay, so they adopted the Las Vegas rules.
They adopted what the industry considers the gold standard of gaming regulations.
Wow.
And what that means for you, the player, is that the physical software inside those machines is identical to what you would find on the Las Vegas Strip.
Wait, identical? Like no difference at all?
Zero difference. The computer chips calculating the random number generation are identical. The payback percentage algorithms are identical. The independent audits are identical.
So they physically can't just press a button in the back room.
They physically cannot tighten the machines mid-cruise with a secret switch because the machines aren't built with a toggle switch for payouts.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, changing a payout requires a technician to physically open the machine, change the EEPROM chip, and document the change for auditing purposes. So mathematically and logistically, a mid-voyage switch is just pure fiction.
Okay, wait, hold on. This is where I have to push back a little on this whole premise.
Sure.
Because if you talk to anyone who cruises regularly, they will swear to you that it genuinely feels tighter to play on a ship. The money just disappears faster.
I hear that all the time.
Right. And if they are following this so-called gold standard of Nevada regulations, why are people draining their bankrolls in record time?
It's a great question.
Because it feels like calling it a gold standard is a bit of a sleight of hand by the industry. I was thinking about like this. It's like renting a luxury sports car, right?
Okay, I like this analogy.
But before they hand you the keys, the rental company legally swapped out the V8 engine for a lawnmower motor.
Right.
I mean, technically, sure, you were sitting in a luxury brand's chassis, the leather seats are there, the logo's on the steering wheel, but the performance is completely different. How does the industry get away with framing this as a standard?
That lawnmower analogy is actually the perfect way to look at it because the misunderstanding lies in what the word regulation actually means in the gaming industry.
Okay, what does it mean then?
Well, when the public hears Nevada regulations, they automatically assume it means a guaranteed high payout. They think it's a promise of generosity.
Right, because Vegas wants you to win just enough to keep playing.
Exactly. But Nevada law doesn't mandate a single generous payout rate. It mandates a range of legal payouts.
A range.
Yes. The regulations simply state that the machine must operate fairly and randomly within its programmed mathematical parameters. And those parameters have a legally permitted floor and a legally permitted ceiling.
Oh, okay.
The casino is completely free to choose any number within that legal spectrum.
Oh, wow. So it's essentially a menu of options. The law just says, here are the 20 different engines you can legally put in the car. Pick one.
Exactly. Let's break down the math on this so it makes complete sense, because this is where the house edge is quietly cemented.
Yeah, let's get into the numbers.
Let's look at video poker, which is a fantastic metric for this because the payouts are literally printed right there on the digital glass of the machine.
You can literally read the odds.
Yes. Now, in Nevada, it is perfectly legal to operate a video poker machine that pays back 99.5% with perfect play.
Okay, 99.5%.
Right. In the casino world, they call this a 96 machine, which just refers to the payout ratio for a full house and a flush.
Got it.
That 99.5% return is the generous end of the legal spectrum. If you walk into a local casino off the Vegas Strip, you can usually find those machines.
Because there's competition in Vegas.
Exactly. But Nevada law also says it is perfectly legal to run a 65 machine, and that machine only returns 94.9%. Both are entirely legal under that gold standard.
Let's do the math on that for the listener.
Yeah.
Because hearing 99.5% versus 94.9%, it might not sound like a massive difference when you just say the percentages out loud. It sounds like, what, $5?
It does sound small, but the compounding effect is what drains the wallet.
Walk me through it.
Okay, imagine you sit down with a $100 budget. You're playing $1 per hand, and you play fast, let's say 500 hands in an hour.
Okay, so I've cycled $500 of action.
Yes. You have now cycled $500 worth of wagers through that machine. If you were playing the generous 96 Vegas machine with a 99.5% return, your expected mathematical loss after that hour of entertainment is just $2.50.
Wait, really? Just $2.50?
Yes. You played for an hour, had a great time, and it cost you less than a cup of coffee.
That's amazing. But if you were on the cruise ship?
If you were playing the cruise ship's 65 machine, which returns 94.9%, your expected loss on that exact same $500 of action is $25.50.
Whoa, so you were losing money 10 times faster.
10 times faster. You haven't changed your behavior, you haven't made worse decisions, you were just playing against a much steeper mathematical cliff.
And let me guess which machines the cruise ships stock their floors with.
Oh, they intentionally and entirely legally load the floor with those 65 machines.
That is absolutely brutal. And they do the exact same thing at the table games, don't they?
They do. The table games are where the invisible tax becomes glaringly obvious if you know what to look for. Take blackjack, for example.
Okay, what's the standard for blackjack?
For decades, the traditional payout for hitting a natural blackjack, so an ace and a 10 value card, was 3-2.
Let's give, and explain it like I'm 5 example for that. If I bet $10 and I get a blackjack, what does 3-2 mean for my pocket?
It means you get your original $10 bet back, plus the dealer hands you $15 in winnings. You walk away from that hand with $25 total.
Okay, that feels fair.
It is. But on almost every single cruise ship casino today, they have changed the blackjack payout to 6-5.
Oh, no. So if I bet that same $10 and I get the exact same lucky cards.
At 6-5 odds, you get your $10 bet back, but the dealer only hands you $12 in winnings.
Seriously?
Yes, you walk away with $22 instead of $25.
That missing $3 on every single blackjack, I mean, that is the ship paying for its own fuel with your winnings.
Exactly. It increases the house edge by nearly 400% on that game alone.
400%.
Yeah. And if you go over to the craps table, the odds bets, which are traditionally the only bets in a casino with no house edge, are strictly limited.
How limited?
Well, a Vegas casino might let you put 10 times or even 100 times your initial wager behind the pass line as an odds bet. On a cruise ship, it is usually capped at 3, 4, or maybe 5 times your bet, and sometimes even lower, like double odds.
So they aren't cheating. They aren't flipping a switch in a dark room.
No.
They're just picking the absolute worst legal configuration for the player right from the start, before the ship even unties the ropes from the dock.
What's fascinating here is that the challenge for the cruise casino isn't the math at all. The math is already locked in their favor before the first passenger even boards.
Right, the math is just gravity.
Exactly. They don't need to manipulate anything mid-voyage because the mathematical gravity is so heavily weighted against the player from day one. Their real challenge is managing passenger expectations.
Because they want you to feel like you are getting the Vegas experience.
Right, while quietly serving you the absolute floor of the Nevada regulations. They are fully compliant. They simply choose the playbook that favors the house most heavily.
That completely reframes everything. I mean, you walk in thinking you are playing a game of chance, but you are actually walking into a highly optimized mathematical wood chipper.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, so now that we know the mathematical reality is firmly, rigidly set in the house's favor, we really need to look at the physical space itself.
Yes, at the architecture.
Because the way the ship uses its architecture to manipulate your attention is just brilliant. Let's talk about the physical layout.
It's very intentional.
When you are on a megaship, the casino is almost never a separate, closed-off room. Like it is almost always tucked right in the middle, midship, usually right off the main promenade.
Which is deliberately the area with the absolute highest foot traffic on the entire vessel.
You literally can't avoid it.
Exactly. It is not a destination you have to seek out. It is an environment you are forced to navigate through to get anywhere else. If you want to go from the dining room in the aft to the theater in the forward section,
You have to walk right through it.
the primary artery of the ship forces you to walk past the ringing bells and flashing lights.
But what caught my eye when looking at the architectural research for this deep dive is the ceiling height.
Aye.
Because of the decks stacked immediately above and below it, cruise ship casinos traditionally have very low ceilings. It creates this incredibly cozy, or, depending on who you ask, completely claustrophobic vibe.
It's a very distinct feeling.
It is. Now, I have to ask you about this because part of me looks at that and thinks, well, of course the ceilings are low. It's a ship.
Right. Physics.
Yeah, you have a massive dining room above you and engine rooms below you. You can't put a 40-foot vaulted ceiling on deck 6. So is this low ceiling just a structural necessity that they are stuck with, or is it a psychological squeeze play to keep passengers hyper-focused?
It is the ultimate example of taking a structural constraint and weaponizing it for psychological engagement.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Physically, a ship has horizontal limits.
Yeah.
You cannot build the Bellagio fountains or vault the ceilings to the sky inside a steel hull. But casino designers do not view that as a negative. They leverage it.
How so?
In environmental psychology, there is a concept related to sensory enclosure and spatial compression. A low ceiling, combined with dim ambient lighting and highly saturated, aggressive artificial lights emitting from the slot machines,
It kind of boxes you in.
it dramatically compresses your visual field.
Like if you're sitting there listening to us right now, imagine looking up from a slot machine. Instead of a soaring Vegas ceiling where you feel like a tiny ant in a massive cavern, the roof is just a few feet above your head.
Right, it forces your eye line down.
You can't see a clock. You can't see the sun.
It creates an intense tunnel vision effect. It strips away your spatial awareness entirely. On a cruise ship, that low ceiling makes the environment feel intimate. It wraps around you like a cocoon.
Very expensive cocoon.
Very expensive. The psychological result is that you lose your sense of external time and space much faster than you would in a sprawling land-based casino. Your entire reality becomes the 24-inch screen in front of you.
That is wild.
Now, I should mention, newer ships are starting to experiment with bringing natural light into the casino, placing them near windows. But the traditional low-ceiling, windowless design has historically been one of their most effective tools for keeping players locked into the immediate, highly stimulating present.
And the stimuli inside that cocoon are just wild, because alongside your standard table games, they have these bizarre arcade-style games that you would never see sitting next to a high-limit baccarat table in Vegas.
Oh, the arcade games, yes.
They have coin pushers, like the ones you played at the boardwalk as a kid where the quarters teeter on the edge, but these are loaded with real quarters and actual wads of $20 bills.
It's brilliant marketing.
And they have skill cranes where you use a joystick to try and grab a stack of cash. They have scratch-offs, lotto drawings. What is the strategic purpose of putting a child's arcade game in a room designed for adult gambling?
It is a masterstroke in audience targeting and lowering the barrier to entry.
How does it lower the barrier?
Well, consider the demographic of a cruise ship. It is not solely populated by seasoned, hardened gamblers who understand house edges and standard deviations.
Right, it's mostly families and people taking a break.
Exactly. It is populated by families, retirees, honeymooners, people who are fundamentally in a leisure mindset. By introducing games of skill like crane machines or deeply nostalgic games like coin pushers, they completely neutralize the intimidation factor of the casino.
Oh, I see. It disarms the casual vacationer.
It plays on somatic memory. When you see a coin pusher, your brain doesn't register high-stakes gambling risk. Your brain registers summer vacation at the boardwalk when I was 10 years old.
That is so true. I literally thought about playing one last time I walked past because it just looked like fun.
Exactly. It feels part casino, part carnival. Slipping a $20 bill into a machine to play blackjack feels like a serious financial risk to a novice.
Yeah, you feel like you're going to lose it immediately.
But slipping a $20 bill into a coin pusher to try and knock a stack of quarters over the edge, that feels like innocent fun. The casino is essentially providing training wheel gambling to extract capital from passengers who would never dream of sitting at a roulette table.
That is devious. They are literally hacking your childhood nostalgia to get to your wallet.
They absolutely are.
But here is the fascinating counterbalance to all this psychological manipulation, and it's something the listener really needs to internalize. The ship's schedule actually works for you.
Yes, the schedule is crucial.
It is the one massive advantage you have. The operating hours of the casino are strictly tied to international maritime law. Like, the casino is completely closed on embarkation day while you're sitting in the port of Miami or Seattle. It's closed anytime the ship is docked in a port of call, like Nassau or Cozumel. It can only legally open when the ship is out in international waters.
And even then, on sea days, the table games usually don't get rolling until 10 or 11 in the morning.
Which is just crazy to think about if you're used to Vegas.
That limitation is the single biggest advantage the player has over the house. It's an advantage that land-based casinos spend millions of dollars trying to eliminate.
Because Las Vegas is built on the premise of continuous, uninterrupted play.
Exactly. The architecture in Vegas is designed so you never have to leave, and the hours are infinite. They want you losing track of whether it is 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. because uninterrupted play inevitably leads to chasing losses.
But maritime law enforces a mandatory, non-negotiable cooling-off period.
It is a forced hard reset for your brain.
That's exactly what it is.
The environment naturally interrupts the psychological state of tilt. If you have a terrible run at the blackjack table on a Tuesday night and you go to sleep angry, eager to win it back.
Which is the worst feeling.
It is, but when you wake up on Wednesday morning, the ship is docked in Jamaica, the casino doors are locked, the lights are off.
You literally can't play even if you want to.
You are forced to walk away, go out into the sunlight, breathe the salt air, go snorkeling, and engage with the real world. You cannot immediately throw more money at the problem.
That's amazing.
This structural legal limitation is a massive protective boundary for the player's bankroll. It forces you to sober up, both literally and financially.
So the ship's schedule forces you to stop playing when it docks. But the casino managers know they are on a ticking clock.
Oh, they're very aware of the clock.
They know you are leaving the ship in 7 days, and they know the casino is closed half the time. So how do they maximize the cash they extract from you before that maritime clock runs out?
They manage the boundaries of your wallet?
Right. And they start by completely changing the rules of the drink economy. Let's demystify the transactions and the alcohol. First, the money.
Yeah.
If I walk into this casino, do I have to link everything to my room card, or can I just use cash?
Cash is still king, even at sea.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can walk up to almost any slot machine, insert a crisp $100 bill, and play completely anonymously. When you hit the cash out button, the machine will print out a standard paper ticket, just like on land, which you can then take to the cashier cage in exchange for physical bills.
Which is fantastic if you want to keep your casino spending totally off the grid from your final room bill.
Exactly.
I mean, you don't want your partner seeing a $300 casino charge wedged between the charge for a massage and the charge for a steakhouse dinner.
The autonomy of cash is a great budgeting tool. You only absolutely need your room card for a few specific reasons.
Okay, what are those?
First, if you choose to charge your gambling funds directly to your onboard room account for convenience. Second, if you want your play tracked for the casino's loyalty rewards program, which we will dive into deeply later.
Yeah, that loyalty stuff is mind-blowing.
It really is. And third, there's a logistical quirk on specific cruise lines, notably Carnival and Princess, where they have eliminated the paper voucher system entirely to cut down on operational costs.
Oh, so on those ships.
On those specific lines, your digital wallet is tied to your room card. You must have your card inserted into the machine to cash out, as the funds are digitally transferred to your player bank. But largely, bringing physical cash is the easiest way to manage your boundaries.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
But the smartest transaction you can make happens before you even see the ship.
Oh, absolutely. The emotional boundaries.
Exactly. It's about emotional boundaries.
Yeah.
The advice from the sources here is to have a transparent, honest conversation with your spouse or your travel partner while you are still packing your suitcases in your bedroom.
Set a strict budget.
Set an amount you are both completely comfortable losing, assume that money is already gone as an entertainment expense, and then just enjoy the space without the stress of hiding a bad run of luck.
Because financial infidelity on a vacation is a fast track to ruining the entire leisure ecosystem you paid so much money to enjoy.
That's a great point. It ruins the whole trip.
Emotional distress in gambling usually stems from violating internal or interpersonal boundaries, not just the raw financial loss itself. If you lose $500 that you mutually agreed was your entertainment budget, you can shrug it off.
Right, you're like, well, we knew that might happen.
But if you lose $500 that you were supposed to use for an excursion, the psychological burden of secrecy kicks in. Establishing that baseline removes the secrecy, which actually frees you up to enjoy the gameplay.
Remove the secrecy, increase the fun. I love that. Now we have to talk about the alcohol.
This is a big one.
Because here's where it gets really interesting, and where the casino makes up for those forced cooling off periods. In Vegas, the golden rule of the casino floor is universal. If you are playing, the drinks are free.
Always.
Right. You sit at a penny slot, a waitress appears, you tip her $1, and she brings you a vodka tonic. But on most cruise lines, that is a complete illusion.
It is a shock to a lot of first-time cruisers.
Drinks in the casino are absolutely not free. You are paying $6 to $8 for domestic beer and $10 to $14 for cocktail.
Plus an automatic 18 to 20% gratuity tacked onto every single receipt.
Which is wild, unless you have pre-purchased a fleet-wide unlimited beverage package, or you have reached a very high tier in the casino's specific loyalty program. Every single sip is costing you out of pocket.
And this completely shatters the operational psychology of the casual gambler who assumes the Vegas rules apply at sea.
Let's deep dive into the sunk cost fallacy of the free drink mindset, because this is where the math gets genuinely dangerous for the player.
It's a huge trap.
If you sit down at a machine with that Vegas mindset, thinking, oh, I'm just going to play these penny slots slowly until the waitress brings me a free cocktail, you are walking into a massive trap.
Because the cocktail isn't coming.
Exactly. Let's do the math on this. You are feeding a machine that, as we established earlier, is programmed to take a 5 to 10% cut of every single spin. And you are sitting there for 45 minutes, spinning the reels, just waiting for a comp drink that is never coming, or hoping a floor supervisor notices you.
It is a profound misunderstanding of the environment's economics. If you are cycling hundreds of dollars through a machine operating at a 94.9% return rate, simply to attain a $12 cocktail.
You are losing so much more than $12.
Exactly. You are not getting a free drink. You are paying for the most mathematically punitive, expensive bar tab of your entire life. You are risking massive capital to attain a reward that is fundamentally cheaper to just purchase outright at the lobby bar.
Just buy the $12 cocktail, walk to the bar, buy the drink, and go sit on the deck.
It's the only logical move.
This is why I completely champion the advice from the research about outsourcing your discipline. Use your phone alarm.
I love this strategy.
It's brilliant. You decide you want to play for exactly 45 minutes before dinner. You sit down, you order your drink and pay for it, and you set your phone alarm for 45 minutes.
And you commit to it.
And when that alarm goes off, you don't look at the screen, you don't care if the machine feels hot, you don't care if you are down 20 bucks. You finish the drink, you hit cash out, and you walk away.
That phone alarm acts as an external locus of control.
What does that mean, psychologically?
Well, when you are gambling, your internal sense of discipline is being actively eroded by the physical environment. The flashing lights, the near-miss sounds on the slots, the tactile feel of the chips. They are all designed to create dopamine spikes that impair your executive function.
So you basically can't trust your own brain in that room.
Exactly. Your brain loses the ability to accurately gauge time and risk. Outsourcing your discipline to an objective, emotionless tool like a phone alarm is an incredibly smart defense mechanism.
It takes the decision-making out of your hands when your hands are least equipped to make a good decision.
Furthermore, when we talk about transactions, we must consider how you interact with the human beings facilitating those transactions. The staff delivering those drinks, the dealers, the pit bosses.
Yes, the research stressed this heavily. Treating the casino staff as hosts rather than adversaries is a highly strategic, often overlooked move.
It really is.
But how does being nice actually pay off mathematically? Like, I get being a good person, but what does it do for my wallet?
Because the staff in a cruise casino operate differently than the heavily surveilled, rigid hierarchy of a massive Vegas property. The staff on a ship have a surprising amount of discretionary power.
Oh, really?
Yes. They live on that ship for 6 to 8 months at a time. It is their home. If you are gracious, if you learn their names, if you treat them with genuine warmth rather than barking drink orders at them, they remember you.
They notice the people who treat them like humans.
Exactly. And that human connection is often the friction point that opens doors to unadvertised perks. They are the gatekeepers to the casino's localized hospitality budget.
So they can actually hook you up.
Yes. A friendly pit boss might comp that $12 drink anyway just because you are a pleasant person to have at the table. They might slide you a complimentary entry into a slot tournament. Social equity translates directly into casino equity.
That is such a pro tip. Okay, so you have your budget set with your partner, you've accepted you're paying for your drinks, your phone alarm is set, and you are treating the staff like gold.
You're in a good spot.
The next logical question is logistics. Where and when exactly should you sit down to maximize this entertainment budget? Because time and space are manipulated here too. Let's talk about pacing the voyage and machine geography.
This is crucial.
When is the absolute worst time to play?
Timing is everything, and the natural peak of the casino's energy occurs late in the evening.
Like after dinner.
Typically, this is right after the main theater shows let out, usually around 9:30 or 10 p.m. The promenade fills up with thousands of people simultaneously. The music gets turned up. The ambient noise reaches a crescendo.
Everyone's had a few drinks.
Exactly. The energy is highly infectious, and the casino floor becomes incredibly dense. But from a strategic bankroll preservation standpoint, that is the absolute worst time to play.
Because it's too chaotic. You can't think straight.
The chaos accelerates your decision-making. You play faster, you bet larger amounts because you are caught up in the social proof of everyone else gambling around you.
You feel like you're missing out if you're not betting big.
Right. And the tables are so full that you cannot easily change seats or find a machine with a favorable payout. You are entirely at the mercy of the crowd's momentum.
So when should you play?
The optimal time for the strategic player, the player who wants to stretch their budget and learn the mechanics of the games, is the early afternoon on a sea day.
Like 1 p.m. on a Tuesday when everyone else is at the pool?
Exactly. The atmosphere is completely inverted. It is quiet. The lighting feels less aggressive because the ambient energy of the room is lower.
You can actually hear yourself think.
Yes. You have your pick of any machine on the floor without feeling rushed or crowded. More importantly, the staff are relaxed. They have the time to actually engage with you, explain the nuances of a game, and provide a personalized experience.
And I read that this early afternoon window is when most cruise lines offer free, zero-risk table game lessons.
Yes, they do.
I think that is such an underrated tip. Free lessons. If you have always wanted to learn how to play craps, or you want to understand the etiquette of sitting at a roulette table, but you felt too intimidated by the fast pace and the barking dealers in a real casino, the Midday Cruise Casino is the perfect classroom.
You really
They
are.
will give you fake chips, walk you through the odds, and teach you the physical hand signals for blackjack. It's free entertainment that actually lowers your ignorance tax.
But beyond when to play, we must analyze where to play. Because not all slot machines are created equal.
Oh, the machine geography. This part blew my mind.
Where they are physically placed on that highly trafficked floor is meticulously planned. This is where casino floor design directly mimics retail psychology.
Yes. I was looking at the floor plans in our research, and I noticed the video poker machines with the best odds are actively hidden in the back corners. Why are they treating this room like a grocery store? Break this grocery store analogy down, because it is just perfect.
Think about the spatial logic of a standard supermarket. What do you encounter the moment you walk through the sliding glass doors?
Usually the flowers, the colorful seasonal displays.
Right, you see the high-margin baked goods that smell incredible. You see the impulse buys. Where are the absolute essentials? Where are the milk, the eggs, the bread?
It's always at the very back of the store.
In the farthest corners. The supermarket forces you to walk past thousands of high-margin impulse items to get the staples you actually came for.
So you end up buying cookies on the way to the milk.
Exactly. The casino operates on the exact same psychological architecture.
Okay, so what is the casino's equivalent of the bakery display?
Front and center, right by the entrances where the foot traffic from the promenade is highest, they place the high-volatility slot machines.
The flashy ones.
Yes, these are the flashy games with massive, progressive jackpots. They feature intense audiovisual effects, vibrating chairs, and popular brand tie-ins like movie franchises or game shows.
And high volatility means they rarely pay out. But when they do, it's a big dramatic number that causes a massive scene with bills ringing and lights flashing.
Correct. They are designed to create a spectacle. When someone hits a bonus round on one of those machines right at the entrance, it serves as an auditory and visual billboard to everyone walking past the casino. It draws people in.
It's basically free advertising.
But mathematically, these high volatility machines will drain a casual player's budget incredibly fast because the machine is hoarding the cash to pay for those rare massive jackpots.
Right. And so what are the milk and eggs? What are the essentials?
The milk and eggs of the casino are the steady, low volatility machines. These are the elusive 85 or 96 video poker machines if they have them, or the classic 3 real mechanical slots that offer frequent but modest payouts.
The bowling machines.
Exactly. They don't have vibrating chairs, they don't have pop culture themes, but they allow a player to sit for hours on a small budget because the machine constantly drips small wins back to the player, extending their time on device.
And predictability.
Yes. And predictably, these machines are intentionally hidden away in the dark back corners near the restrooms or tucked into side aisles. They want to force you to walk past the flashy, budget-draining impulse buys to get to the games that actually stretch your dollar.
That is retail psychology weaponized against your wallet.
It really is.
And the anecdotes in our research prove that understanding this geography works. I want to highlight Margaret, a retired teacher who has been on 23 cruises.
She has a great strategy.
She really does. She is a master of pacing. She doesn't force her gameplay. She gauges her energy levels and combats decision fatigue. Like, if she's exhausted from an 8-hour walking tour in Rome, she knows her executive function is shot. She skips the casino entirely that night.
That takes discipline.
It does. On a good night, when she's rested, she and her spouse make it a strict 2-hour date. They bring their predetermined budget, and they leave when the time is up, win or lose. And then there's Rita and John, married for 42 years. Their strategy is the ultimate grocery store back aisle move.
Their approach is a masterclass in risk mitigation.
It really is. They bring exactly $200 for a week-long cruise. $200 for 7 days.
Which is an incredibly small budget for a casino.
Right. And they bypass all the flashy progressive slots at the front. They hunt down the nickel video poker machines tucked in the darkest back corner of the ship, and they make that $200 last for 7 nights of entertainment. How does the math on that even work?
It works because they're playing low-denomination, low-volatility machines at a slow pace. If you are playing a nickel machine, betting 5 nickels a hand, that's 25 cents a spin.
Okay.
Even if the machine has a heavy house edge, the sheer lack of volume and the low variance means it will take hours of continuous play to mathematically lose that $200. They have essentially purchased highly subsidized entertainment.
That's so smart. And Rita and John's strategy touches on another excellent off-peak tactic that limits exposure, which is the casino tournaments.
Oh, the tournaments are fantastic.
Yes, the slot and blackjack tournaments, they run on C days. I always saw the flyers for these and assumed they were scams to get more money out of you.
To the contrary, from a risk management perspective, they are exceptional.
Really? How so?
Well, during off-peak hours, the casino will run tournaments with a flat, fixed entry fee, usually $20 to $50. You pay your fee, and you get a set amount of time on a machine or a set number of chips at a blackjack table, and you compete against other passengers for a cash prize pool or a free cruise.
So it's the ultimate fixed-cost entertainment. Your downside risk is strictly capped at that $30 entry fee. You literally cannot lose more than $30.
Exactly.
But for 10 minutes, you get the full physiological thrill of high-speed gambling, you get the adrenaline, you get the crowd cheering, with the potential for a substantial upside if you place on the leaderboard. It's a fantastic way to scratch the itch without endangering your budget.
Now, playing those steady machines in the back corners or pacing yourself through tournaments isn't just about surviving the night without losing your shirt.
Right, there's a bigger picture.
If we look at the broader mechanics of the cruise industry, playing those specific machines is the foundational secret to getting the cruise line to actually fund your next vacation.
Oh, wow.
We need to transition from the immediate gameplay into the long game of loyalty programs.
This is where the entire deep dive flips on its head for me. Because everything we've talked about so far is how the casino takes your money. But the loyalty algorithms are about how you extract value back from the cruise line.
It's a completely different game.
Every major line has a proprietary loyalty program. Carnival has the Ocean Players Club, Royal Caribbean has Club Royale, Norwegian has casinos at sea. And unlike Vegas, where you have to go stand in line at a desk and give them your driver's license to get a physical card, the barrier to entry on a ship is zero.
Right, it's automatic.
The system automatically tracks your play the moment you insert your cabin room card into a machine or hand it to a dealer.
It is a frictionless onboarding process. And the absolute golden rule, the secret sauce that governs these complex algorithms, is fundamentally different from land-based casinos.
How is it different?
Well, a Vegas algorithm heavily weights high daily theoretical loss. They want the whales. They want the people dropping $50,000 in a weekend.
Right.
But a cruise ship algorithm is programmed to reward consistency above almost all else.
That is the part that completely shocked me.
Yeah.
They reward behavioral patterns over absolute spend. Break down how this tracking actually works. Like, how does the machine know I'm consistent?
When you slide that card into the slot machine, it is not just checking your balance. It is logging a multitude of behavioral data points. It logs your time on device, how many consecutive minutes you sit there.
Yeah.
It measures the latency between your spins. Are you slapping the button aggressively in rapid succession after a loss, indicating tilt? Or are you maintaining a steady, rhythmic, predictable pace?
It tracks how fast I push the button.
Yes. It calculates your session duration across the entire week. Do you play for 45 minutes every single night after dinner? The algorithm builds a digital fingerprint of your patience, your risk tolerance, and your reliability.
So if I take one cruise, get drunk, drop $5,000 at the roulette table in 2 hours on the first night, and then never set foot in the casino again.
The algorithm categorizes you as an anomaly. A high-value anomaly, certainly, but an unpredictable one. You might get a comp dinner.
But if I cruise twice a year, and you reliably, methodically play $100 every single night of a 7-day sailing,
You are exactly the demographic the algorithm is optimized to acquire. You are predictable revenue.
which brings us to the most important logistical tip of this entire deep dive. If you take nothing else away, remember this. Always, always visit the casino host's desk on the final night before you disembark.
Do not just pack your bags and walk off the ship.
Do not. Go to the desk, smile, and ask to check your status. Ask if there are unadvertised comps, ask if you have free play credits, or ask if they can offer a discount on a future cruise.
Because the system is largely automated, it might have flagged your account for a substantial reward based on your consistency score. But in many cases, if you do not initiate that final interaction and manually claim the reward, it vanishes when the cruise ends.
You have to ask for it.
It is a closed system that requires the player to advocate for themselves at the finish line.
Our sources highlight this incredible story about a guy named Donald. Donald is 68 years old. He plays the 25-cent slot machines. And his strict, non-negotiable budget is $50 per cruise. 50 bucks. That is his entire risk capital. Yet Donald reliably gets his entire cruise comped by the casino. They give him a free cabin. Now, I have to stop here because mathematically, looking at this from a pure business perspective, why on earth would Norwegian or Carnival give a multi-thousand-dollar free cabin to a guy who only loses $50 in the casino?
It sounds absurd, doesn't it?
The math on that seems totally backwards. How does a multi-billion-dollar corporation not go bankrupt, handing out free rooms to people who drop 50 bucks?
If we view the casino in a vacuum, the math is disastrous. But if we connect Donald's story to the macroeconomics of the maritime industry, it makes perfect, highly profitable sense.
Unpack that for me.
You have to understand the nature of a cruise ship. A cruise ship is a massive, highly leveraged, depreciating asset filled with perishable inventory.
Perishable inventory, like the food in the buffet.
No, like the cabins themselves. An empty cabin on sailing day is the economic equivalent of a rotten apple at the grocery store. It is worth $0 in revenue, but it still costs the company money.
Oh, because they still have to run the ship.
Exactly. They still have to heat it, air condition it, staff the ship, and burn massive amounts of fuel to move that empty space across the ocean. The cruise line's yield management algorithm isn't looking at Donald's $50 casino loss. It is calculating Donald's customer lifetime value, or CLV.
Ah, so they're looking at the entire ecosystem of the ship, not just the slot machine.
Precisely. If they give Donald a free cabin, Donald is not cruising for free. Donald is still paying mandatory port fees and taxes, which can be hundreds of dollars.
Right.
Donald is highly likely to buy a specialty dining package to eat at the steakhouse. Donald might book a $150 snorkeling excursion in Nassau. Donald might buy a couple of beers by the pool, or his wife might visit the spa.
Plus, they usually give these offers for specific times, right?
Yes. Furthermore, they are giving Donald that cabin during an off-peak sailing week in mid-October when the ship would otherwise be sailing at 80% capacity.
So the casino is just the bait. It's an acquisition channel to get him on board to buy other things.
The real product they're selling is the ecosystem of the ship itself. They give him the room because his highly predictable presence generates secondary, high-margin onboard revenue that far exceeds his $50 casino budget.
That is just brilliant business.
By being a reliable, low-stakes player, Donald has transformed himself into a valuable statistical asset to their yield management algorithm. The algorithm needs bodies to fill empty cabins, and Donald is a guaranteed body who spends predictably.
Wow. Are you playing the machine, or is the machine playing you to keep you coming back to the ocean? That's incredible. Okay, so before our listener disembarks with all those hard-earned loyalty points and future cruise credits, we need to cover the final logistical hurdles, the reality checks.
Yes, the logistical friction.
Let's talk about the friction of accessing your money, paying the government, and adopting the ultimate winner's mindset. Let's start with getting cash when you inevitably run out of the budget you brought.
This is where the maritime environment heavily penalizes poor planning.
What happens if you use the ATM?
If you run out of cash and walk up to one of the independent ATMs located near the casino floor, you're going to be hit with exorbitant maritime fees. It is not uncommon to see a $6 to $8 flat fee per transaction.
$8 just to access your own money. That is an 8% tax if you're only pulling out $100.
It is punitive. The financially sound alternative, as we briefly mentioned earlier, is charging the funds directly to your room account. If you're playing slot machines, you can usually transfer funds from your room account directly to the machine fee-free. It is seamless.
Good to know.
However, if you sit down at a blackjack table and ask the dealer for chips, charging it to your room usually incurs a 3 to 5% convenience fee.
Which is still mathematically cheaper than an $8 ATM fee if you're pulling out smaller amounts, but it's still friction.
Yes, it adds up.
And speaking of friction, we had to touch on the physical environment one more time regarding something very specific, smoking. Because the casino is usually the one indoor public space on the entire ship where smoking is still legally allowed.
Which, given the low ceilings, the sensory enclosure, and the deeply compressed architectural space we discussed earlier, it creates a highly condensed atmospheric challenge.
It gets really smoky.
If you are a non-smoker, the air quality can become quite taxing very quickly. The ventilation systems work overtime, but they cannot perform miracles.
Are they changing this at all?
The industry is slowly adapting to public pressure. Newer ships are building enclosed, glassed-off, non-smoking casino sections with heavy, dedicated ventilation, or making the entire casino smoke-free on select vessels. But on older ships, it is a logistical reality you must be prepared for when managing your time in that space.
Right. It's just another reason to use that phone alarm and limit your exposure.
Yeah.
You don't want to be breathing that in for 4 hours straight anyway.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the absolute best case scenario.
Okay, the big win.
Say you defy the terrible 65 math. You hit the progressive jackpot on a slot machine. The bells are ringing, and the screen shows you won $2,000. What happens next? Can you just take your cash and walk off the ship into the sunset?
This is where federal law violently supersedes your maritime vacation.
Oh.
There is a deeply ingrained misconception that because you are in international waters, you are immune to taxation. That is false.
Wait, really? The IRS still gets you on the ocean?
If you are a U.S. citizen, the $1,200 IRS rule applies perfectly. If you win $1,200 or more on a single spin of a slot machine or a single hand at a table, the casino is legally obligated to immediately halt the machine.
He just locks up.
The machine will completely lock up. A floor supervisor will approach you. They will require your physical identification, and not just your room card, but a driver's license or passport. They will issue you a W-2G tax form, and they will automatically withhold the required federal taxes before handing you a single dollar of your payout.
You literally cannot escape the IRS by sailing into the ocean. The tax man has a very long reach.
It is the exact same procedural, bureaucratic friction you would experience if you headed jackpot in the middle of Las Vegas.
Okay, so let's pull all of this together.
It's a lot to consider.
It is. When we look at the whole picture, the mathematically punishing 65 payouts, the psychologically enclosing low ceilings, the forced cooling off periods dictated by maritime law, the grocery store floor plans designed to drain your wallet, and the highly sophisticated loyalty algorithms tracking your every button press. How do you actually step off this ship a winner? How do you beat a system that is this stacked against you?
You beat the system by fundamentally redefining the parameters of victory before you ever leave your driveway.
Explain that.
The consensus from behavioral psychologists and professional gamblers alike is unanimous on this point. You must define winning as an emotional and financial boundary, not a monetary outcome. You cannot control the random number generator. You can only control your exposure to it.
Decide what winning looks like to you. Like,
Yeah.
is it playing for exactly 2 hours on a sea day and having $30 left of your budget to buy a fancy coffee? Is it learning how to play roulette at 1 p.m. without feeling foolish?
Exactly. If you define your goal, write it down, agree upon it with your partner, and execute that plan, you have defeated the casino's primary weapon. Because the casino's primary weapon isn't the math. It is your own lack of discipline.
That is so true.
And what's truly beautiful about the cruise casino environment is that unlike the hyper-competitive, aggressive atmosphere of high-stakes land casinos, a cruise ship actually supports this leisurely mindset if you allow it to.
Because you're on a boat.
Right. It is a deeply inclusive, democratized space.
Sorry.
Because everyone is fundamentally there on vacation, sharing the same floating hotel. The staff and the players do not care if you are betting $5 a hand or $500 a hand. There are no velvet ropes separating the high rollers from the penny slot players.
It's an ecosystem of leisure, not a desperate grind for profit. You are all just people in Hawaiian shirts trying to have a good time. So the ultimate strategy for our listener is this. Pick your night strategically. Maybe just the first sea day when you have high energy, and the final night to burn off the rest of your budget.
Yeah.
Stick to the hard cash limit you agreed upon with your partner. Treat the staff like the incredible, hardworking hosts they are. Enjoy the inclusive, friendly vibe of your fellow passengers. And when that phone alarm goes off, grab your paper ticket, walk out of those double doors, and go look at the stars on the top deck with your pride and your vacation completely intact.
That is the definitive blueprint for mastering the experience. However, analyzing how meticulously these cruise lines track your loyalty data, how they measure your patience in milliseconds and calculate your lifetime value, leaves me with a somewhat provocative final thought to consider.
Oh, I love these. Lay it on us.
Well, we have established that the moment you insert your room card, the ship's systems begin building a highly accurate, real-time psychological profile of your behavior. They are tracking your risk tolerance, your patience, your preferred hours of play, your daily habits, and your physiological reaction to wins and losses based on your speed of play.
It's crazy how much they know.
They use this massive data set to offer you heavily discounted or free future cruises, ensuring you return to their ecosystem. But this raises an important question for you to ponder long after you drop anchor and return home.
Okay.
If the cruise line is spending millions of dollars to build such a sophisticated predictive model of your exact behavioral psychology, is the real product they are selling the thrill of the gamble? Or is the gambling simply a highly effective self-funding data gathering tool designed to hook you into the cruise lifestyle forever?
Wow. Are you playing the machine, or is the machine building a profile to play you? That is going to stay with me next time I pack a suitcase.
It changes how you look at the whole trip.
It really does. To our listener, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Armed with the truth about Nevada math, grocery store floor plans, off-peak timing, and the power of consistency, you are no longer just a passenger wandering into a trap. You are a smart player in complete control of your vacation. Until next time, stay curious and keep unpacking the world around you.